Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Moms on a Mission podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Shaw. Welcome back. If you're new, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We welcome back to the show Maria Zeee from zeemedia.com. She is one of the most banned independent journalists in the entire country of Australia. She's also been debanked because her platform is that she shares the truth, whatever the cost. And that's what I love about her. She's one of the most well-researched human beings on the planet. And today she talks about something called age verification for social media. And as parents and moms, right? Moms on a mission, we think that's a cool thing, right? Well, it's really not so great. Maria shows us where that open door leads. And really, where it leads is a very dark place. And it's really all about the United Nations' whole goal for global control. And so this is a broadcast you do not want to miss. And please share this with your family and friends because this information is cutting edge. You do not want to miss this broadcast. So buckle up. Welcome to the Moms on a Mission podcast, Maria Zeee. Maria Zeee, welcome back to the Moms on a Mission podcast. I so have been looking forward to getting to visit with you today. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me back. We have a lot to unpack today.
We do. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about is, obviously we're going to talk about digital ID, but this Trump euphoria is really hitting the globe, actually, but all throughout America. We certainly are so glad he won, but it does beg the question, is he going to do everything he can do to unravel the claws of the deep state? Because, we're seeing really some great picks from him. And then, we're seeing some that aren't so great. And, he ran, on the fact that he was going to set us free from all this, but we haven't been hearing anything about dropping out of the UN. He's not even talked about that. And so I wanted to ask you before we even begin what your thoughts are on Trump winning and if you feel like he is going to pull us out of the UN.
I don't know if he's going to pull us out of the UN, Miriam. He's appointed a UN representative. And unfortunately, I mean, you heard lawyer George Paoletti prior to the election saying if Trump wins, that, this is the closest we've ever come to a one world government. Trump certainly threatens that. He's not a globalist. We're globalists. This is actually a UN lawyer that said these words. It was caught by Stephen Crowder's undercover investigators. And so I was very surprised when Trump appointed an ambassador to the UN. I'm wondering whether maybe that's part of a long-term strategy. But in saying that, he said he's going to exit the WHO straight away. So why not the UN as well? The UN really is at the core of so much of the world's evil, all of these agendas, disguised as sustainability, climate, whatever the case may be. Are coming from the UN, and where Trump said no EV mandates, people can have electric vehicles if they want. That's great. Of course, you should be able to have something if you want it, albeit I think electric vehicles are extremely dangerous and harmful to your body. You're basically driving around in a cancer box due to all the EMF in there. But if you want it, sure, you can have it. But to issue an EV mandate is just crazy, and so he's come against that. Well, Agenda 2030 depends very much on an EV mandate. So there have been multiple things that he's said, including going against the climate bogus agenda, saying that it's a farce, that are opposed to Agenda 2030. But I'm very concerned about some of the technocrats surrounding him, including Elon Musk, by the way. As much good as he's done, I still have concerns about him. He is a transhumanist. He just unveiled, and I was really, really shocked seeing this on social media just this week. He just unveiled Optimus now is travailing across more difficult terrains and climbing and things like this. And I'm looking at all the conservatives in his comments celebrating this, and I'm like, this is literally a dystopian hellhole. Why are we celebrating this robot?
It's so crazy how, and that is what I want to talk to you today about. So there are so many avenues we could go down about this, global agenda to take control of the whole world. And there's so many different paths. The one in particular I wanted you to teach us about today was digital ID. And I think even many awake Americans, I believe, feel like this digital ID package is going to come to the door clearly wrapped and with warning signs and bells going off all over it. But see, that's not how it works. And in Nazi Germany, it did not work that way. I mean, the whole propaganda machine in Nazi Germany is that they they preyed on people's fears, and they used what they did to obtain complete horrific tyrannical control in the name of safety. And we saw that during COVID. We saw that with the toxic bioweapon injections, experimental injections. We saw that very well played out in 2020. And so I think as I was listening to your broadcast just a couple of weeks ago on this digital ID at at zeemedia.com, Zeee-media.com, it was so fascinating to me that this digital ID is presented again in the name of safety. So I first wanted to ask you, Maria, why should folks and parents particularly, but all the world, every one of us, why should we be concerned about digital ID?
Well, digital ID is a Bill Gates and UN initiative. And if you'll permit me, I'll just quickly show you. This is from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation website. Digital IDs are an effective tool against poverty. They say a global solution is making them available to millions. Part one, we have a global identity problem, apparently. And digital ID is a critical piece of digital public infrastructure. DPI, I did a broadcast on this probably over a year ago now. DPI, digital public infrastructure, is basically the transitioning of all things in society, including leaves and blades of grass, by the way, into this digital ledger where you essentially, everything is tokenized and belongs to whoever owns it, which is them, the same people controlling the world right now. And humans will be forming part of the digital public infrastructure. And so without overcomplicating this, basically their ultimate goal, the goal of the one world government, the goal of the United Nations, Bill Gates, and all of these figures, is to digitize all life. And by forcing you to have a digital ID, your identity, a digital ID is, people will say, oh, well, I have a license, or I have a digital version of my license on my phone. What's the big deal? No. Your digital ID will be linked to your banking, to your online activity, to absolutely everything, as described by the Boston Global Forum in the book Remaking the World Towards an Age of Global Society, which, by the way, the United Nations considers the social contract for all of humanity. They say they've entered us into this social contract, and now we're all now their objects inside this AI world society. And so digital ID, you can't live inside this mixed reality, which, by the way, the WEF have just unveiled as well. We will talk about that. You can't live inside the world which they're merging with the internet and reality unless you have a social credit score that's linked to you. You have to, or everything you do online has to be linked to your real life. Therefore, your permissions to do things outside in the real world will be dependent on your online behavior, just like the Chinese social credit system. And so, for example, if you say something online, and we can look at the Australian model of what they're about to do as we speak, but if you say something online, it will be recorded against your digital ID, because now social media platforms are requiring you to do that. And then that will negatively impact your social credit score. If you say something that disagrees with the government of the day, that will negatively impact perhaps your ability to bank. They can switch off your bank account like they do in China. And we've already seen foreshadows of this, Miriam, with people that have been debanked for their activity online. I'm one of those people. Last year it happened to me. The government didn't like my reporting. I was debanked. And so there was a 5-day period where I had time to get a new bank account. In future, that won't be the case. And as they continue to collapse all of the systems around us and make it more and more impossible for us to use cash, moving more towards digital money, there is a complete control over what you can and can't buy. There's also a very, very fast agenda right now to ban meat and dairy consumption. The plan is for you to consume 0 of those two things. And if you try to purchase something with your card, when that's, you know, the only option, and you try to purchase something that goes against what they don't want you to buy. They've also said ammunition's one of those things. They're going to program it so that people can't buy it. But if you attempt to purchase these things, it will negatively impact your social credit score. Now, people may say, well, that's okay. I don't care about what my social credit says. Yeah, except for the fact that you can't get a job unless you have a good social credit score. You have to pay your mortgage or your rent. You have to pay your electricity bills. And guess what happens to you if you're deemed a not good citizen? Well, you can't pay your electricity. So all of a sudden you can't keep the lights on because your digital ID says you're not a good person. So that's, in a nutshell, how bad this is going to be.
And I think the most alarming thing that you shared is you are such a great dot connector. And that's what I love about your countless hours of research. You are probably one of the best researchers I've ever seen and learned from. And what I love about it is that, you know, I'm sitting there listening to age verification. Okay. For social media accounts. I mean, I've interviewed some sad parents whose kids have committed suicide. And they're some of the proponents of this age verification because they're thinking, if my kids just had to verify their age, maybe they wouldn't have committed suicide. But when you start connecting the dots and you think, what is required for age verification and where does that path lead us? As you were talking about that, it was alarming to me how many people are seemingly okay with this age verification concept.
So I'm just, as we're speaking, looking for something to show everyone about age verification, but I will talk about what happened in Australia. Okay, so they were trying to go down two paths. The first path was what they call a mis and disinformation bill, which basically was the ability of the government or one particular organisation, which is the Australian Communications and Media Authority, with one minister on top of this that was the arbiter of truth, kind of like the Ministry of Truth that Biden tried to implement a little while ago through Nina Yankowicz. Except in Australia, we don't have a Bill of Rights. We don't have a First Amendment. So there is really no right to free speech in Australia. But they tried to implement this mis and disinfo bill, which was if you say anything the government doesn't like online, they can pull it down, they can cancel your accounts, they can investigate you, you know, and eventually lead to criminality of speech. The media was exempt, the government was exempt. You weren't allowed to criticize the government, you weren't allowed to question the stability of financial markets, you weren't allowed to say anything about injections or anything of this nature. So that bill failed, thank God. But simultaneously, they rushed through this social media age ban. So Australia, a year ago now, implemented digital ID legislation. Of course, it's voluntary for now, but it just makes life easier, right? It links all your government services. You don't have to go through a million things to file your tax return. It's just easier, of course. And under the guise of convenience, I'm sure a lot of people did that. Unfortunately, what they don't see is that the plan was eventually to link your social media use to your digital ID. And so they introduced this social media age ban, which basically says, and, you know, like you say, the parents come out. There's one particular family, you know, their daughter tragically, 13 years old, committed suicide due to online bullying. And as much of a tragedy as that is, and I never want to see that happen, what I would prefer is for parents to not be letting their children on social media, for goodness sake, as their own decision, then coming and mandating government control over parenting. And that is what this is. The government wants control of the children. But really, that's not even what it is. What they want is to make sure that every single adult has to verify themselves online by linking their ID to their social media use. And of course, part of this is because of, you know, they don't want anonymous accounts that are dropping serious bombshells, you know, and waking people up to the truth. But it is also about the social credit system. So they have a couple of things. People will say, okay, well, no, we're not going to do it through digital ID. It's just through age assurance. Oh, age assurance sounds a lot less dangerous than digital ID, doesn't it? Well, age
Right.
assurance is the system that's essentially spying on you to make sure that you are 16 or 18 or whatever the age may be or over. And it's really interesting because the Australian government rushed through this bill, Miriam. They did it as part of a guillotine of 30 bills they passed with, they debated, but there was no debate. They wanted, to go on their Christmas break, and they passed this, and there was no debate, and a huge uproar all over the country. And they did it anyway because Australia is essentially a dictatorship. But they rushed it through at the same time, and I'm going to show you something now on screen, that Apple's patent to use body parts to identify people when their face is not visible to a camera is granted. Okay, so think about the fact that the government rushed this through, and the same time Apple had this patent granted. So what it does is, all this time, and people may have heard the term digital twin previously, all this time where Zoom is capturing your likeness, or you're using your phone is I can't remember how many times per minute taking snaps of you. So maybe all that Apple has is your elbow, but they'll actually use that to assure the government that you are 18 or over. The problem is that it's still building a digital profile of you. It's surveilling you at all times. It's taking probably your voice. It's taking parts of your room. It's using all of this to ensure that you are 16 or 18 or whatever the age is or over. It's determining your age, even if your face is not visible to the camera.
And isn't that fascinating that they use the word assurance? I can't help but connect the dots as it relates to 2020, like it's for your safety. You're saving grandmothers all over the world if you'll just get injected with this toxic bioweapon, or if you'll just wear a mask. Or I think of all the radical left, disgusting, murderous gender ideology. I mean, kids are committing suicide after they have these horrific surgeries where they cut off their genitals and their body parts, and they call it, gender health care,
Yes.
or when you're murdering babies, they call that, reproductive health care. And it's so fascinating to me. Saul Alinsky said this, you control the language, you control the masses. And it's so fascinating to me to hear the word assurance, because what is that? That is preying on fears and safety concerns.
Yes. And so I have very, very serious concerns about a couple of bills right now in America. So I'm going to bring those up on screen as well for you. The S884, the Improving Digital Identity Act of 2023. Miriam, Biden actually was trying, or the Biden admin was trying to get this done before the election. And they just basically ran out of time. So that America, this has been sitting in the background for a while. America has been trying to bring in digital ID for some time. You can see this was reported to Senate 11th of the 7th, 2023. We also have right now the Protecting Kids on Social Media Act, introduced in April of 2023. So it's the same sort of thing. And in fact, in this bill, it does say that platforms must take reasonable steps to require affirmative consent from the parent or guardian of a minor who's at least 13 years old. And people may say, okay, well, that's not so bad. We just get parents to confirm on behalf of the minor. So how does the parent confirm? The parent has to identify themselves, right? So this is digital ID. This is social credit for adults under the guise of protecting minors, okay? And they even say that social media platforms may also not use the personal data of an individual in an algorithmic recommendation system unless the individual is at least 18 years old, according to the platform's age verification process. What does that mean? It means that they can use your personal data if you're 18 years old. So what does that tell you? It tells you that this is a social credit system for adults. This is what this whole thing is about. And Governor Ron DeSantis, and I'll show you right now as well on screen, Florida's social media bans for minors to take effect January 1. And people have said, yeah, but DeSantis is doing the whole thing where it's the parents' job. Yeah, the parents are over 18, so their ID will be linked to their online activity. This is just incremental steps towards all of this. And if I can also say just days after passing the social media minimum age bill in Australia, the Albanese government in Australia has actually appointed the Tesla chair, Robin Denholm, to lead the nation's research and development review. So Tesla is also being involved in Australia's R&D. What are they going to be doing? What is this all about? How are we still having this positive relationship with Tesla when the Australian government is so tyrannical? Elon Musk is apparently, very much for free speech, although I would argue that X is not a free speech platform at all, because freedom of speech but not freedom of reach means censorship. It's what Instagram does. In fact, I will put a video out on Instagram and get more views than I get on X with a bigger following on X. So it's absolutely not a free speech platform. But what is Tesla doing, working alongside the Australian government for some of these things? Why are you collaborating with a tyrannical government that's enforcing these things? And I want to show one more thing on screen if I can, which is that the WEF white paper has just been published, which is seeking global government and digital ID for life within the internet. Within is what they're saying, right? And this is what I was talking about, the mixed reality. They published a white paper in November, which details the need for global governance due to life within a future internet or metaverse. And they say that digital methods of verifying a user's identity are necessary, as well as mentioning the role of biometric sensors. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole article, but I just want people to understand that the life within a future internet has to do with the Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies, the future smart cities, the future where the satellites are connected to the 5G and the 6G, which Trump was previously against. And I saw that in February he said he's for 6G. So I don't know if his understanding is evolving in the sense that, every world leader would be in a precarious position right now, Miriam, because the future is AI, 6G, all of this sort of stuff. That's the way that the world is heading, whether we like it or not. So if you don't get on board, you're going to be left behind. But by the same token, if you do get on board, you are leading your population into absolute dystopia, worldwide dystopia. And while Trump's intentions may be good right now, the next guy may not be. And so I am very, very concerned about these things, because what they're talking about is where the satellites, the towers, your phones, everything is creating this mixed reality where you can't really distinguish between internet and real life anymore. And isn't that kind of what we already live in with the amount of time that we spend on social media? This is like next level nano sensors, all this sort of crazy stuff, which I won't get into today. But the WEF is publishing this saying we've got to hurry up with digital ID around the world, because we've got to get ready for life within the internet. And this is the bills are there. America is already doing it. DeSantis has this happening on the 1st of January. It may not be the full dystopia of it yet, but they have implemented something like this already.
Which is so disturbing. And I'm not sure, when I listen to you speak, Maria, I'm not really sure what concerns me the most. And that is like, the end goal, which of course, if you're a Christian and you read the Bible, you know what the end goal is. But the Bible does say occupy until he comes. So we do have a role in pushing back against evil. But I think the thing that concerns me, I guess, is that I'm like, does DeSantis know what he's doing? Does Trump, you see Trump talk to, obviously some of these disgusting evil leaders, and he's trying to create connections. That's what he's good at. And so I get that. But I think, is he even aware of this door that is open? Because all it takes is you to open up one history book and to look at Nazi Germany, or to look at Mao's China, and to see how they use the kids, and how you could see that it wasn't like, hey, I'm here to destroy you, to cause you to starve, to take all, of your control, and you'll own nothing. And we're going to tell you that you're going to be happy, but you actually won't. The devil doesn't do that. He doesn't come and open your front door and says, oh, let's go rob a bank today. Let's go murder somebody. No, he keeps you really busy, so you're not reading the word of God. He causes you to, get involved in fleshly division with your family or friends. I mean, just the small things that lead, to those bigger things. So I guess my concern is do people overall, do you feel like folks are starting to connect the dots even in, their immediate circles?
I'm not sure. I think this is what I think genuinely. I think that um, Americans are incredibly happy about the Trump win, and so they should be. Right? I
Right.
am. I've supported Trump. I don't agree with absolutely everything he says or does, and I think that if you do, you may be a cult member. Right? So, like, it's
Yeah.
healthy to criticize the people that we care about. Right? That's healthy.
Right.
And so, I think that as supportive as I've been, there are things that I'm very concerned about. And looking at, like I said to you, looking at the Optimus robot and all of the conservative accounts inside Elon's comments that were like, this is amazing. The future is here. We're going to go occupy Mars. Like,
Oh,
what are you talking about? This is horrific. This
oh,
is what the UN foresees as a future where when Yuval Noah Harari says humans are going to be they're not going to matter anymore. They're going to become useless. And so we're just going to drug them and keep them busy with video games. I mean,
right.
that's what this leads to. How can we have a vision of future of freedom, but also one where we are fueling the beast of AI, which is it's projected to take about 95% of jobs. You think about what AI will do. Accountants are obsolete, tax agents are obsolete. You have artists, filmmakers, music producers. You have lawyers. They want AI judiciary. All of these things that are the stated goals of Agenda 2030 are, I'm afraid, still going in that direction. It's just that people are now cheering them on because apparently there's a good guy doing it. And
Yeah.
again, I'm very, very grateful for the positive things that Elon Musk has done, but I've always remained very skeptical. And I think we should be skeptical about everyone, every single person, me included. By the way, if you're listening to this, don't believe a word I've said. Go and look at it for yourself, research it, and make up your own mind. This is we live in extremely deceptive times, Miriam, and I think that people need to be careful about the direction that we're going in, and not just think that everything that happens from this point forward is positive just because Trump won, because maybe Trump's not aware. There were times in his former administration where horrendous things happened and people said, well, he just didn't know, now he does. Okay, maybe he's not aware of this aspect. Maybe we need to make him aware. We can't be too afraid of criticizing leadership. That's my whole thing was, let's get him in and let's hold his feet to the fire, and that's what we need to be doing.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd like to say, I mean, I know we joke about like, Maria, you're always like, oh, here she is again, more bad news. But let me just tell you, I love what you have done in Australia, how, the misinformation, disinformation bill. I mean, you were ringing the bell, shouting from the rooftops, spreading public awareness. And that got defeated. And so there is hope here, because the more informed we are, the more critical thinking that's happening in our heads, and the more we openly expose this and talk about it, it surely makes a difference. So I'd love for you to share, Maria, what can people do with this information, especially parents, moms on a mission for that matter. What can we do about this
Miriam,
specific issue?
hold on. Especially moms who are watching Moms on a Mission. We're going to pick it
Okay.
up from there. Here we go.
Especially moms, it is called Moms on a Mission, but really everyone, Americans, Australians, what can we do with this information to make a difference?
Yeah, well, first of all, it wasn't just me that helped defeat the mis and disinformation bill. There are many, many Australians now, again, thanks to X, that are able to have these discussions and raise awareness. And it has become a platform that has helped people become politically active, and hold leaders to account. And so, unfortunately, we didn't achieve the same result when it came to the social media age ban, which is, in many ways a worse bill. But regardless, there was a victory. The point of everything that I'm discussing, it's not to cast shade on certain leaders. It's not to not celebrate a good thing. We just have to be realistic and understand that this agenda 2030, the new world order, this has been a hundreds-year long plan with many different contingencies in place depending on which way the world goes. And so don't think that they didn't prepare for a Trump victory. You know what I mean? Don't think that they didn't prepare.
Yeah, they definitely have a contingency for that.
Absolutely. And so we have to be realistic about that, and we have to continue keeping our finger on the pulse. My whole advice has always been, Miriam, to understand Agenda 2030 in the United Nations very well, understand them inside out. And that way, when bills like DeSantis's comes through, where people go, well, this is really great, we're going to keep the kids safe, you can go, hang on, no, this is something else. And fight back against it rather than being lulled into a position of digital dystopia. And this is the point. The whole point is digital dystopia, where your thoughts, movements, words, everything is controlled. We have to do everything that we can to avoid that at all costs. And so, and Americans may say, oh, well, we have the First Amendment. Yeah, but look at Google. Google doesn't care about your First Amendment. It constantly censors you. Big tech, these are private businesses, right, that albeit are working with the government, but private businesses are censoring Americans because that's their terms of service, yeah? Platforms get around the First Amendment with terms of service. So what do you think happens when we give all control of the internet and public life and everything to a few tech giants, and they all of a sudden update their terms of service back to, what Kamala wanted? And so we have to remain diligent, Miriam. And I would say that Americans need to be aware of the digital ID bill, the social media age ban, and contact their members, and hopefully we have a better Senate now, contact their members and absolutely push back against this, these dystopian bills. And there will be more, I guarantee you, because the swamp isn't drained yet.
Well, I think those are excellent ideas. And what I love about you, Maria, is you always will just speak the truth, no matter what the cost is. And you definitely are a pioneer and you lead the way by example. And so I think those are amazing ideas. I'd love for you to share how our listeners can find your cutting edge interviews and research. Where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, sure. So all of our interviews are posted to zeemedia.com. That's zeemedia.com. And you can also follow me on X at ZEE_media. So that's at ZEE_media. We share all of our content on there as well. But, so many of the people that follow me on X constantly say to me, I never see your content. It's like, it's crazy for the following that I have on there. I'm telling you, there's more views happening on Meta than there is on X, and so something needs to change there big time. Unfortunately, I think that from my experience, X is not very happy when you talk about Agenda 2030 and the AI world society. So it's got to tell you something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. It tells you who's in control and what their real goal is. So. Also, folks can find you on Telegram, right?
Yeah, Telegram is the main platform I actually communicate with people on. I share everything, things that I wouldn't say on X on there, because I know that X doesn't like certain topics. So everything I think and that matters is shared in Telegram. That's ZEE Media, all one word. That is really actually the best social platform to find me on.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing the truth, whatever the cost. I can't thank you enough. You've taught me so much, and really the globe, because you are international. You have a following all over the globe. So I encourage folks to follow you, support you, go to your platform and check out all of your cutting edge information. It's just really empowering. So thank you so much. Thanks for doing that. And thanks for joining me today. You're an awesome friend, and I'm just honored to get to see you today.
Really appreciate the time. Appreciate your viewers. Thank you, everyone, for supporting Miriam. Continue to do so. Continue to share her content out there. Get more people listening, because not everyone's talking about this stuff, and it matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria, for joining us. And thank you all so much for listening. And on the heels of that conversation, I just want to encourage you all to check out and purchase some gold and silver. I have a gold eagle here and a silver eagle. And the reason why I've invested in these is because the government can't shut this down. Even though the money is in the bank, it can shut down. Remember a few months ago when all the banks shut down and nobody could access their money for a few hours. I mean, that was a very scary thing. But I feel like once people see that, they're like, you just go along to get along. And, you just don't think that will ever happen, but it can. And really the only insurance you have is what you own personally and physically, what you have on your being and your body. And I am now a broker for Miles Franklin Precious Metals. And so just give me a call and we can have a conversation and just educate yourself. That's what I did first before I cashed out my money. And I was going to roll over my IRA, but I cashed it out because I want the money in my possession. So just if you call that number on your screen, the 1-833-217-333, and give me a call and we can talk about how you can start doing this. My sister, she buys silver every 2 weeks. I do as well. And it's undervalued right now as well. So it's a great investment. It's a great way to hedge against inflation and just to protect yourself and have some money, even just a little bit, to have it on hand so that if everything does get shut down, you do have insurance. You have insurance money. We have insurance for our home. We have insurance for our bodies. We should have insurance for our monetary accounts that we've worked so hard to build for ourselves and for our children. So give me a call and let's have a conversation and start hedging against inflation and protecting our families today. Thank you all so much for joining me. It's such an honor, and we'll see you next time. In light of recent bank volatility and skyrocketing inflation, diversification is a must. That's why I use my good friend Andrew Sorcini at Beverly Hills Precious Metals. Beverly Hills Precious Metals makes it so easy to diversify. I personally ordered some silver and it arrived on my doorstep just a few days later. They make it so easy. And if you're not ready to do that and you just want to ask a few questions, they're there for you too. I personally got some silver and also am rolling over some of my IRA. You can actually roll over your IRA and have it be backed by silver and gold. So if you don't have any extra money to invest in silver and gold, rolling over a 401k or an IRA, or even part of it, if you just want to try it at first, just for a little bit, you can do that as well. So go to bh-pm.com today and ask all your questions. You can connect with somebody. And like I said, you can just get some information at first if you want and pray about it, and then get back with them to roll over part of your IRA or all of it, or order some gold and silver. That's bh-pm.com. and tell them that Moms on a Mission sent you. Hey, everybody. Did you know that recent research from the CDC says that millions of Americans develop parasitic infections and symptoms often go unnoticed or are misdiagnosed? Parasites are actually the cause of many health problems such as anxiety, depression, chronic pain, fatigue, and unexplained digestive issues. We all need a common sense strategy to improve our health. Moms on a Mission encourages you to reach out to our good friend, Dr. Jason Dean. Dr. Dean's Full Moon Protocol provides all natural detoxification and fights inflammation. And the supplements are made with 100% organic ingredients and are proven to kill parasites safely and effectively. I know after I took Full Moon Protocol, I had more energy. To order your Full Moon Protocol today, go to bravetv.store/mission to save $20 off your first order. That's bravetv.store/mission. According to leading sleep experts and sleephealth.org, over 50 million Americans struggle getting a good night's rest. That's why Moms on a Mission loves MyPillow. MyPillow makes amazing pillows, sheets, mattress toppers, robes, towels, literally almost everything you need for a good night's sleep. They also make dog beds for your dogs. So by going to mypillow.com, typing in the code MISSION, you not only receive a high quality product, but you're supporting Moms on a Mission and this podcast. If you like what you're hearing and you agree with it, you believe in it, and you want to support Moms on a Mission, then go to mypillow.com today and order some high quality products and just type in the code MISSION at checkout and you can save up to 66% off. That's mypillow.com, code MISSION.
Since 2014, Organic Body Essentials has offered clean, simple, certified organic skincare. Our organic face-to-feet and federally compliant hemp and pet products are manufactured under USDA and FDA guidelines. Our products are inspired by God using plants He created. In Ezekiel 47:12, it says, "The fruit is for food and the leaves for healing." We believe in the power of God to heal, so we pray over our products and for our customers. Our therapy in a bottle approach has been widely received, and our customers' testimonials continue to inspire us. You can find us at organicbodyessentials.com and obe.organicbodyessentials.com. Please feel welcome to reach out with questions. Use coupon code MISSION at checkout for a discount. Thank you for your support by using Mission at checkout to benefit moms on a mission and their quest to reestablish traditional values in our education system and empowerment for a healthy lifestyle.